What is up, guys? It's Flash back with some more charts, another video. It's Thursday, April 3rd, about 5:31 p.m. Eastern. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a deep breath. We're going to roll the intro, and then we're going to look at the charts. Let's hit it. Alright guys, so I'm slowly adding to my hashtag video list. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to look at the S&P, and then we're going to go through all our normal tickers. I've also added Bitcoin measured in silver. I think that could maybe give us some signal here. And I've also added MSTU for fun at the end. So maybe a little bit of a longer video today. I am going on vacation for the weekend and for the early stages of next week, so I'm not going to be posting. So I want to give you guys some good content before I do so. If you find this helpful, please make sure you drop a like, give me a sub if you haven't, and I'll continue following along the charts for you guys and giving you my perspective. So what we have here is the S&P 500 futures. This is the daily time frame, and I am going to drop over to X for a second, and I want to just talk through David F. at Trading Hearst, detecting market cycles with cutting-edge signal processing techniques. And so really good follow, really different perspective, but he talks about, especially on the SPY, he's detected, this is 14 hours ago, progress of the only cycle of any significance below wavelengths of 500 days in US stock markets, the 40-week nominal wave. And so it's troughing right now. This is the S&P 500. As you can see, there's a rhythm to this market, to the S&P 500. David detects rhythms in all sorts of markets, also does it in Bitcoin, which we can talk about. But right now, if you zoom in, we are kind of troughing at the 40-week nominal wave. So every 252 days or so, he's detected that there's some sort of rhythmic price action here. So as you can see, if you zoom in to the bottom right middle portion of the screen, right where we are today, we are troughing. And so I've taken that signal that he posted publicly on Twitter, and I've overlaid that onto my chart. So there's the big gray one. That's kind of a bigger behemoth. I think it's like 3.5 years wavelengths. As you can see that, up and down, the S&P 500 does follow this to an extent, right? There are the timing of it isn't always exact, but if we zoom in here on the daily, again, this red wave is the 40-week nominal wave. I've tried to line it up as best I could per David's chart, and so right now we are kind of troughing, it looks like. So whether, as I've said before, I think this is some sort of ABC correction, right? So I think once this completes, I think we will push on to make a higher high. But as you can see, that 3.5 year cycle, that could be kind of a top for a while. We'll have to kind of see. But I think we're kind of in a similar point as we were like right here. We bottomed in this 40-week nominal wave, and then we went on to make higher highs. So if we zoom in here, this price action today, that was a pretty good dip, right? That probably scared a lot of people out of the chart, and then it still continued to make a higher high. If we zoom into where we are today, this is a pretty good dip, right? But I'm curious to see if this 40-week wave is going to push us back to a higher high on the S&P 500. So I thought that was interesting. Now we look at Bitcoin. Again, not much has changed from yesterday, right? All the chaos in the market, a lot of down moves for some of the equities, but Bitcoin has stayed mostly flat. So I'm not sure what to think of that. I think that's a good thing for Bitcoin. I've also overlaid, he has I think it's a 30-day cycle that he has on Bitcoin. Again, doesn't line up perfectly every time, but it can kind of give you a sense of, okay, we're nearing a bottoming zone here. So we got to keep our eye on that. I think that could ultimately push price to the upside, into April, mid to late April. So we'll kind of keep our eye on that. We'll look at gold now. So gold, there was a lot of volatility. Looks like some sort of doji candle. You know, is this mini run in gold coming to an end? We might be looking to consolidate. That's kind of my take right now. If we look at Bitcoin measured in gold, I'll zoom out on this one. So here we are, Bitcoin measured in gold. I went over this chart the other day. If we zoom into price action, this is on the weekly, we're going to zoom into the daily. So we're kind of squeezing into this, you know, descending triangle, right? There's a channel here of some sort, but we are squeezing. And so this makes me think like, we're closer to the end of this consolidation than we are to a top, in my opinion. So pretty interesting here, Bitcoin measured in gold. Another one I've added is Bitcoin measured in silver. This one is also very interesting. I'll zoom out a little bit for this one. You know, pretty standard channel. And how I got to this channel, I'll pull up the Ichimoku cloud, I'll pull up the 30-week moving average. So this is the trend of the market. The moving average is going up and to the right. The Ichimoku cloud is going up and to the right. So there is some trend here, right? And so I've just overlaid this channel here to kind of mimic that trend. You know, it may not connect each low to each low or each high to each high, but generally speaking, this is the trend of the market, Bitcoin measured in silver. So we'll zoom in here on the daily again. And I think, you know, this could be a signal here. Looks like Bitcoin's trying to break out against silver. If we just pull up silver real quick, silver had a big down day today. You know, big bearish engulfing candle. So I think that's pretty interesting. This could be some sort of signal. We got to keep following along. Thought that was interesting too. So I want to include it in this video cadence. All right, we'll look at strategy. Zoom in on strategy. Not much has changed, guys, from the other video. You know, I feel like we're starting to round out. It's not going to happen overnight. Slow and then suddenly, and then, you know, I think it could accelerate, you know, once we kind of get out through April and into May. I think we're going to see some higher price action. That's my hope, right? That's what this chart is kind of telling me. I do have a bullish bias, though. I'm not afraid to admit that. I guess what I would be kind of concerned about is, you know, this could be some sort of bear pennant, bear flag. And so, you know, we could be looking at like something like that, or, you know, something like that. We'll just keep our eye on that, you know, something to be aware of, right? I want to present both sides, but I do have a bullish bias. Strategy measured in Bitcoin. We'll put this on the line chart. It's a little bit cleaner. And we'll zoom into the 4-hour. So here's kind of what I'm seeing. So there's a lot of lines on this chart, I know, but you know, again, we've made it out of this consolidation, right? That was most important. Now we're kind of letting price action do its thing in this arc, in this bull. And so I have another yellow line here, you know, maybe a descending squeezy chart pattern, right? You know, we could be squeezing, getting ready to go to the upside. I'm not sure. But there is a little bit of a down trending resistance line that we want to get above. All right, strategy measured in gold. Go back to the daily time frame. Again, not much has changed. Still retesting this breakout of this huge pattern. You know, it's a head and shoulders, maybe it's a cup and handle, maybe. But this makes me think we're going to continue going to the upside. So we're going to keep following along here. We'll look at Misty. Misty not adjusted for dividends. You know, we're kind of slowly but surely, I think, making our way. Last but not least, I have MSTU here. So MSTU, for those of you who may not know, it's the 2x leveraged long MSTR daily target ETF. I'm not going to go into all the details about this fund. You know, everyone has their opinion about it. You know, you got to take into consideration leverage decay and blah, blah, blah. But it's 2x to the upside, 2x to the downside of whatever MSTR does on a daily basis, right? So if you were following me previously, take this off for a second, but as MSTR was making its run up, you know, MSTU was doing its own thing as well. So I'm going to go into the 30-minute and I'm going to come back to previous price action. So here's kind of my point is like MSTR, and in this case MSTU, kind of using it as a proxy for MSTR, it would have these, magnificent run ups, and then it would consolidate. And I'm kind of putting these green lines as like the consolidation line. We're holding a beach ball underwater. So this would work for MSTR as well. But you kind of hold the beach ball down, then you release it, and it releases its energy to the upside. And so it has a bunch of these consolidations, right? It keeps doing that. And so if we zoom out again, go to the 4-hour, where'd it go? Okay. So I think that's kind of what we're doing here, just on a bigger scale, like a much bigger scale, right? So these lines aren't perfect. I think I had them on the daily. But again, we've held this beach ball down underwater for so long, and I want to think that this is just now releasing to the upside. So I've kind of been analyzing, like, what does price action do on the 30-minute after it breaks that down sloping resistance line? It kind of goes sideways a little bit, or it shoots up immediately, kind of goes sideways a little bit here. So just kind of a fun exercise that I wanted to include. I do think there is some upside here. But then if we pull some like fibs on each one of these mini consolidations, price went, in this case, it went up to the 3.618, the 4.764, it even exceeded that. If we pull this down from this consolidation up to here, we ran up to the 3.618. And so all that to say, again, just a fun little exercise I'd like to do is, if we do that same exercise and we pull this from the top to the bottom of this consolidation, the 3.618 is like in la la land. But I think like the 1.618, like these could be realistic targets for MSTU, as long as MSTR, does its run. So just kind of interesting. Not sure what to make of it. But again, we'll kind of finish with Bitcoin here. We'll hide our drawings and we'll throw on the rainbow wave indicator that we know and love, and just have that bigger picture in the back of our minds. We'll put it on the regular scale. It's more fun that way for me. This is the power law, up and to the right every single day. Bitcoin gets stronger, the network gets stronger, more people are using it, right? So guys, again, hopefully this is helpful. We'll hit the outro now. Drop me a like. I'll see you guys in the next one.